What's going on, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? We're back. It's the Games and Things podcast, episode 11. It's been
Your
been quite
favorite podcast you've been highly anticipating and definitely care about.
that nobody watches. Anyways, I'm your
Hi,
host.
Nick.
Yeah, I'm your host, the ACMJS, joined by Fallen.
Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. My bad.
we still got to get that down. Um, so we have not that much in the works, which is why I was kind of debating doing this, but I decided might as well uh, get this out of the way. Essentially, I was waiting until we got the rumored PlayStation 5 event in February, but it looks like we're not getting there just yet. We'll talk about that later. Um, Going back to the middle
Sorry.
of.
Also, sorry for the clicking.
Yeah, I was
I'm
about to
doing
say.
college. I'm doing college stuff, so I apologize now.
Um, Starting back in the middle of or beginning of February, the rumors that like Assassin's Creed Ragnarok was this thing and that it was going to be like this new type of game were fake. Apparently, they were made by a Twitter user, and it was an experiment on his part to see if like major gaming companies and like people who write articles and stuff would actually give credit to the original photo, which is what he had tweeted. And a lot of these companies who were, releasing these stories and the rumors didn't give credit and even think of where the photos had originally come from. They never came from Ubisoft, so how would it be
Unlucky.
official? Um, a little bit of disturbing, not disturbing. Everybody kind of felt like this was coming because Sony has done their State of Play, which is a direct parody of Nintendo Direct. Um, Sony
Hmm.
won't be attending E3 yet again, and people who aren't Sony fans, Xbox, are saying Xbox has already won E3, and I mean, Microsoft is the biggest company there, and Nintendo will be there. But as far as like the big competitors go, there's at this point there's Bethesda, Microsoft, and Ubisoft, and that's it. Because EA has their own day of play thing that they do on Sunday the week of. Sony's gonna have their state of play that happens before. Microsoft, of course, is going to be there, but yeah, Microsoft will be in full force. Um, so we can definitely, I guess, look at this to the future as um, Sony won't be going to E3 anymore,
Hmm.
which is sad.
Yeah, but I honestly prefer the direct style layout. I prefer the direct style layout compared to how they do E3.
Oh yeah, I do too. The only thing,
I think Nintendo started something that everybody's gonna pick up on.
oh yeah, because the digital media age that has come upon us. Um,
Mm,
I think it's I don't know how to describe it. Like it's good, but it's bad. Like it's good because they don't have to shell out a bunch of money to hold like an hour or an hour and a half press conference where they show all these games. But the thing is with E3, usually you could demo most of the games through like the trailers that you had seen. But the contradictory point to that is that very few people apparently are able to even get into E3, and then you have to like already know people to even be able to play the
yeah,
demo. Otherwise, you have to
because
wait
the
till
line's
PAX.
ridiculously. Yeah.
Um, so then with Nintendo having Nintendo Direct, Sony doing State of Play, um, and with EA doing their Day of Play, the question is, will E3 even be a thing in the next upcoming years?
I think it'll. I think it's gonna die out, but I feel like it's gonna very slowly die.
Yeah.
Unless Xbox just takes it as their opportunity to use it as their big thing, because I
Uh,
have a feeling it's gonna mainly become a Microsoft thing.
I think that's what it's gonna be, yeah. Because Bethesda isn't. in that great shape right now, uh, with all of their fans over how Fallout 76 has become a thing, how they haven't even apologized and they haven't just really done anything to recoup their fans. And they're another like big conference, but again, it's like if you don't really have that much of a fan base anymore. I mean, there's still fan. I mean, of course, we're gonna buy like the next Elder Scrolls and Starfield, but it's like, are people gonna really want to pay money to go to a conference for a company that doesn't recognize its fuck ups?
Yeah.
Um, so
Monetization. You swear.
so that's Bethesda. Boom, out the window. So that just leaves Ubisoft, which they every year they've already gone to a point where they start releasing and announcing games before E3. So it's like, what's the point of releasing games beforehand or announcing games beforehand if you're going to hold a press conference? So they did that with I think it was Ghost Recon Breakpoint. They had showed off on a stream like a gameplay demo. It's like, why didn't you save that for E3?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Um, Actually, I already went over the next question, which was, do we still trust Bethesda enough to buy the next Starfield
No.
or even Elder Scrolls?
No.
Now, here's my thing. Mine, or my money, I guess, investing is based on whether or not Starfield is actually still built on the same engine that 76 and Fallout 4 and Skyrim and all of that is built on.
Okay, here's my problem that I have with Bethesda right now. The problem is that
PR.
not just that, we invest so much into Bethesda and their games, and yet they don't invest anything back. They
Yeah.
haven't updated their game engine in so long, and it shows that they're willing to pump out these semi decent games on this crappy engine for as long as they can, when it's clearly outdated and they clearly need to update it. And it's kind of disappointing because personally, I don't want to buy games like Doom, or I don't know if Doom's on that same engine, but I don't want to buy the next Fallout. I don't want to buy Starfield if they're all going to run on those same crappy engines. Like, why would I waste my time
Yeah.
when I could just go buy another, spend $60 on, like, I don't know, like Final Fantasy VII remastered or Kakarot or Ghost of Tsushima or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I could go buy other games. So why would I invest my money in Bethesda when they're clearly showing that they're not investing it back into their IPs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think here's my thing. This year's E3 is going to be big because Microsoft is going to be there. They're going to unveil hopefully the Xbox Series, not X because they already did that, but they're going to add whatever more they're looking to release for the holiday. Um, so we'll see what Bethesda. Some people think that Starfield is going to come out this year. I highly disagree. It's going to come out this year. I think, last year we just got a teaser. I think this year we won't get a gameplay demo. I think we'll get like a cinematic trailer, probably for at least one of the two, if not just Starfield. Um, I know it's early in the year for E3, but rumors always start to swirl around March, and we're not even halfway through, February yet, and all these things are coming up. Something I was actually surprised, and it's an example of what every game company should do after a certain period of time. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, the pre-order cosmetic items, the colors for the lightsaber crystals and the lightsaber hilt modifications are unlocked now for all players through an update that they did. I thought that was super cool. Um, have you played Jedi Fallen Order since that update?
Yeah, I actually have. I hopped on. I found some more chests.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what everybody's doing after they finish the main game. It's like, bro, gotta get all the chests. Gotta get
Yeah, no.
that new colored cloak or that
I
that.
and what do you call it? I really enjoyed I forget the name of the planet because it's been a minute. But the one with the crashed Republic ships where you can go through them and look at all the like you get to learn the story of the Padawan in their map.
Oh, it's not Pagana.
Yeah,
It's not Pagana. It's not Ilum. It's not Kashyyyk. I
you
know
know
what
what I'm
you're.
talking about.
I know what
Yeah,
you're talking
that
about. Yeah.
yeah that was really cool. I really enjoyed that, and I still have like 20 chests to go. Like, yeah. So no, yeah, it's pretty sick. I don't. I'm scared to go back to Dathomir. That was difficult for me.
Yeah. Deathmere is an interesting beast altogether.
Agreed.
Um. Oh, we have some sad news, and I know Jeremy's gonna hate me because every time I mention Cyberpunk, he's just like, ugh. Um, not that it's your fault. It's that I need someone to talk to about this
No, I'm
because
just giving you a hard time about it. Go ahead.
because
I just give you a hard time.
if I don't, I am going to explode. You guys think I'm joking? Although I'm not gonna make that joke. um, Cyberpunk 2077. I even made a video on this. Was unfortunately delayed to September 17th later this year.
If it makes you feel any better, then the fact it's going December means I can September means I can actually get it.
Yeah, which makes sense. Um, which is good because it gives more people time to save up money. However, this was kind of a hit for me because I'm planning to go uh, away from my home, planning to go to college about an hour away and live in dorms full time. Um, and that starts in August. So that's going to be fun trying to record. But it got delayed. Which apparently was a thing everybody was expecting to begin with. I didn't expect it to get delayed, to be honest. Um, but it being delayed led to another something that was related to Red Dead 2, which was crunch time. It's
Oh yeah.
just something that happens in the industry. There is no there is no way you're ever going to get every little detail and polish everything in time for your release. I'm not an artist, but from what I have drawn in like just sketchbooks, I find myself always going back and like adding little details or little touches because as an artist or even if you want to draw, you're always wanting to be like this could be better, this could be better. We need to fix this, we need to fix that. So in theory, if we didn't have release dates and people didn't want to make money, we would never really have art or we would never really have video games that release. Um, and crunch time isn't that. This is the internet is divided um, with this. I personally don't think it's that big of a deal because the game devs know what they're doing. They know what they have to sacrifice, but I'm sure that they are, paid handsomely for it. Um, I hope it doesn't cause them any, mental health, you know, issues or whatsoever. But I mean, it's just a thing that happens in the industry. There were rumors that the delay was due to optimization not being able to work on the PS4, but specifically the Xbox One. That was
Xbox is
actually
gay. Sorry, I just had to
well,
throw.
the whole thing was, oh, it can't run on this generation, and there were other rumors that were saying that they were trying to optimize it for just for the next generation, but apparently that was all false. The game developer for my one of my favorite games, God of War, Kari Barlog, actually went on Twitter and said, "Being a game dev is hard. At the final months, it's all about fixing different game glitches and bugs, running through the game, making sure everything works properly, and fixing things." Um, and we just got to give them the time that they need to complete the game, and I'm excited to see what happens in September. However, like I said, it creates a problem for me because I have to figure out how I'm going to record that game.
At least
Um,
don't worry about the game being crappy.
that is true, but also the other thing is Ghost of Tsushima is supposed to come out in that September August
Let's go,
area.
boys.
and pushing back Cyberpunk and Ghost of Tsushima to that time of the year means that in May is when we get our very first release with The Last of Us Part 2 coming out May 29th. Which is kind of, I mean, it's good that it's coming out, but it's like, okay, January, February, March, April, May. We have nothing for the first 5 months in terms of gaming. Cool. At least in terms of big releases. Um, so it is what it is. Crunch time is a thing. It's always going to happen. Um, and I wish, we all wish CD Projekt Red the best. Um, this was a question that I kind of turned into another video on my channel that didn't get that many views, but it's whatever. Which is the hype too real? Do we hype up games to the
Oh
point
yeah.
where they simply can't meet expectations? Perfect examples would be Fallout 76, Anthem, The Division 1 and 2, and then Mass Effect Andromeda. And these are, and this question is aimed at like audiences seeing pre-rendered CGI cutscenes and E3 demos and getting hyped up from those demos, full well knowing that the actual game won't look anywhere near it.
I actually have something to say on this
Mm-hmm.
really quick.
Well, yeah.
So, um, so the dilemma I have is that games can, how do I explain this? I feel like when a game screws up, that's on the game because anybody can appreciate a game even with the understanding that okay, my expectations were a little too high, but this game's still really great, right?
Right.
For example, a game that it's not your favorite, but it's a game that just didn't because here's the best way I can explain it. So I'm trying to figure out how to formulate my words. So essentially, I feel like when we put our expectations too high, it can affect the game, but I also feel like it lies on the developers. You mentioned games like, um, what's that game called? The EA one, Anthem,
Anthem,
and
yeah.
you mentioned the Division, and you mentioned what was the other one you mentioned? Sorry, Fallout
Mass Effect.
76. Yeah.
Yeah, Mass Effect and Fallout
So
76.
one thing I want to point out, especially about Mass Effect and what was the other? Not 76. Anthem is that those games took on two like really different styles of gaming and screwed up completely and just decided not to listen to their fan bases. I feel like games could easily do what they're supposed to do and not have any issues. And a prime example of this was Borderlands 3. It literally didn't stray away from anything that it normally did. It was like just a new story, but with the same style of gameplay. Just a few add-ons that were just things that fans kind of wanted, and the game got good reviews. And from what I've heard, I haven't heard a lot of people complain except for small bugs. I feel like if you stick to what's good and what works in the sense of like not doing stuff that'll piss off your fans, then I think a game will be fine. However, I feel like the moment the games exceed our expectations is when they try something and they they don't necessarily know where they're going with it either. They're just throwing it out there and hoping it makes if that makes sense.
Right. I can see that. Um, it's just I don't understand why, and I think this is a part of the reason why. Going back to Sony and E3, I think this is part of the reason why Sony decided to step out of E3, because E3 now fans know that it is mainly garnered towards like fake trailers and CGI,
Right.
and they don't want to seem fake, you know.
Yeah.
So I think that's one reason why they have decided to pull away from E3. Because if you look at all this state of play, what you see is basically what you get and what you're downloading. Um, but if you go, for example, with the Division, if you and this is all in my video where these specific games I have side by side comparisons between the demo that was shown at E3 when it was first revealed, and the product that we got, the retail product. And it is amazing at the detail quality and how it goes down or how it goes up. And it just depends, I guess, on the fan base too. Fallout 76, you had a lot of people who were angry with Fallout 4, and they're like, oh, so it's just Fallout 4, but with multiplayer, and you had so many different problems that it is known as the worst failing game just about in history. And then Anthem looked like Titanfall met Mass Effect.
Mm-hmm.
But then the Division, it's like, oh, cool, third person looter shooter set in the post apocalyptic world through a virus. That's cool. And then Andromeda, everybody loves Mass Effect. And they kind of screwed up with all this, that, and the other. So I definitely think the hype can get too real. But as you were saying, the fans, they may expect too much. Excuse me. Fans expect too much. But one company that has always managed to live up to the expectations has been CD Projekt Red.
Rockstar. I mean, shit. Sorry, what?
Has been CD Projekt Red in the way that they treat their fans, in my experience. But yeah, can you? Let's see. So this is continuing on with Battlefront and Fallout 76. So the question essentially is, can you say a game is still bad when public perception at first was negative, but the game progresses and gets better with updates?
You said Battlefront 2, right?
I did say Battlefront 2.
Yes, easily. Battlefront 2 is a super beloved game now, and there's such a big player base on that.
And if you were living under a rock when it first came out, it was all over the news, about the microtransactions and this, that, and the other. And that's mainly the reason why it got all the negative heat, was because of the ridiculous microtransactions. And then, so that's an example of a game that can be, by the public, perceived as bad, and now it's a decent game, whereas Fallout 76 was perceived as an interesting idea, but it's still not great in the eyes of Fallout fans. And that's a reason why...
Unless you're a hopeless Fallout fan.
And that's why a lot of people are not trusting Bethesda, and why a lot of people think that the Elder Scrolls and Starfield is going to fail, because Bethesda has been such just not the Bethesda we know and love, It became such a meme that they decided, oh, we're going to put Skyrim on literally every single technological device you can think of, and they became just a money hoarding machine. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, like ESO too.
Yeah, Elder Scrolls Online. Yep.
ESO's insane.
I played a little bit of that, and I was like, not my thing. Not my thing whatsoever. This was something that we actually talked about, but I wanted to bring it up again just because I think it's interesting, because it makes me become a better man in my own opinions. Controversial game opinions. Somebody's opinion isn't...
Let me talk. Hold on. Let me talk straight into the mic, Nick.
Modern Warfare 2 is better than Black Ops 2.
Now go ahead, Jonah.
Controversial game opinions. Somebody's opinion isn't valid about gameplay unless they've played the game.
Oh, unlucky. I thought we were going to that section.
So, again, I have apologized, but I'll apologize here for anything that I've said about Kingdom Hearts, because I have not played the game, because
so good.
because it is not my type of game. Just because you don't play it, or you don't think you'll play it, or you don't think you'd like it, doesn't mean that you shouldn't at least try out the game to see for yourself. So, if I ever do buy Kingdom Hearts and I play through the game, I can say it's utter trash, but because I haven't played it, I can't say that. I highly doubt that.
Decent hack and slasher.
I don't have a valid opinion, so...
You're right, you don't. So you can keep that pretty well about yours.
We'll skip that. Um,
Oh, by the way, we need to talk
oh,
since we're on the topic of Kingdom Hearts.
oh
So,
yes,
Kingdom Hearts.
I was gonna say I'll
Hmm?
bring that up later. I think I know what
Kingdom
you were gonna
Hearts.
do.
Oh, I can't bring it right now.
No, I'll talk about that later.
Ouch.
It's fine. Um,
I just got shut down.
rumored KOTOR remake. I don't know if you saw this or heard about this.
Yes, I have. I've read like multiple things on it after you told me because I was so excited.
Apparently, now here's the question. This is a rumored KOTOR Knights of the Old Republic remake. We're not sure if this is going to be KOTOR 3 or if it's going to be a reimagining or if it's going to be like the regular KOTOR games just with updated graphics and hopefully updated combat systems.
Please.
We don't know. Apparently, the official thing from Kathleen Kennedy was the reimagine looks to combine the stories of KOTOR 1 and 2 and actually help fit and mold it into the current canon lore.
Crappy Disney canon lore. I mean, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, basically. And it's weird because we got two different.
Imagine taking Star Killer out of lore. Disney's game.
We have two different interviews to go over. So before I do that, we'll jump into because we're talking about Star Wars. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
My boy.
There's a lot of stuff for some reason that has gone through the pipeline with regards to the show. There was an unfounded rumor that the show had been canceled, and that rumor leaned for about 3 or 4 days, and then come to find out that the episodes had just gone down from 6 to 4, and they had fired a scriptwriter and they're hiring a new one. Because apparently the leaders Disney thought that the show is too similar, which is understandable because you have a adult male figure with a young child. That's basically the Mandalorian, and apparently what Obi-Wan was going to look over Luke. So it's not canceled. The scripts are just being rewritten. He said production had been pushed back to, I think it was the beginning of this year, so it won't come out till next year. Also, something I didn't have on here, but now that I just remembered, The Mandalorian Season 2 is coming out October of this year. Yay! We get to see our favorite bounty hunter and Baby Yoda.
Correction, my favorite bounty. I'm just kidding.
Our favorite bit, communism.
I never once.
Last of Us Part 2. I don't know if you heard about this. Naughty Dog, they're releasing Last of Us Part 2 in May, and it was given a rating by the ESRB people, and it has sexual nudity and sexual content. And this is the first Naughty Dog.
Care why?
This is the first Naughty Dog game to receive those ratings.
Got it.
Don't know what that means. It could be Ellie exploring her sexuality. Jesus. There, moving on. In another interview for an upcoming game, Ghost of Tsushima. I did not know this, but I was reading through an interview. Apparently, there are no waypoints in the game. Like, you can't, like, put down a waypoint. Actually, I don't know if you can put down a waypoint, but there are no, like, markers that say, go here, do this, which I found interesting. The game developers said that they kind of want players to go on their own, and they want to search out clues and, like, find out different areas. I don't really exactly know how that's going to work. It's like, how are you going to know where to go for your, like, main objective? And I guess their point is, well, you don't really know what you're going to get into. So it's like, oh, you see that, forest of trees? We want you to go there and explore that. And it's like, okay, I'm going to be wandering around for hours, not really doing anything. Which recording-wise would be kind of weird, because that's something you wouldn't want to record. That's something you more so want to, like, live stream, is whatever happens. but then if you were to record it, you'd want to keep it to the main missions. I thought that was interesting, though. No waypoints. Then we move on to the last, well, actually, second to last bit of the podcast, which is CyberPunk interview.
Where's my Kingdom Hearts
That'll be the
section?
last thing that we talk about, I promise.
Yup.
So, in a recent interview with one of the game devs,
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. I'm just kidding.
Apparently you can change the depth of field to reduce like head bombing effects and other stuff, so people don't get sick, which I thought was interesting. So even though it's still like a first person shooter, you can, I guess, like zoom out the amount of stuff that you see. Again, you can only third person in vehicles, so I guess you would still be able to see your character a fair bit, because I assume, kind of like GTA, where you drive around quite a bit, because there are no loading screens. The only time you'll load in, there will be loading screens, is when you load in and if you decide to fast travel. When asked the question, the interviewer was asking the game dev, when the campaign is finished, is that game over, or do you still have access to the open world? And the game dev responded, "That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that." So in theory, it could be kind of like, I would hope it would be kind of like an Outer Worlds thing, where they kind of warn you. They're like, this is your last chance to complete any or all side quests before completing the main game. I would hope that would be a thing, because it would otherwise kind of suck if you just ended up doing the main campaign and you can't go back and do all of the side quests. Speaking of side quests, there are 3 layers of quests: main quests, other activities, and street stories, this is what everybody was buzzing about. There are 75 street stories, which are like side content or contracts, I suppose, from The Witcher, and each one of them was handcrafted and handmade, and I thought that was kind of interesting and cool, because that's a lot. That's 75 side quests, and they're more dynamic and in-depth than The Witcher. They didn't comment about the multiplayer. They didn't say anything about DLC content, except the Witcher model worked well for us, which, if you don't remember, they had two different pieces of DLC, and they released them about a year apart from each other. So don't delete your save data. Earlier this week, PS4 broke 1 billion games sold since launch. I think that made it.
PS4's gay.
I think that made it into the number 2 slot. If you didn't know, Sony launched the official PlayStation 5 website. You can go up and you can sign up for a newsletter. And on the website it says sign up for the newsletter regarding like the release date and price and whatnot. And apparently they may not be ready to reveal just yet, because there are rumors. I think the rumors are going to change every month that we don't get an announcement, because originally it was like, oh, it'll be in February, and now the people are saying it'll be in March, then it'll be April, and then May, and then June.
It's going to be like that all year. It's going to come out holiday.
Yeah, but I think originally the month to reveal it was February, but apparently the factor that's holding them back is pricing issues, and they want to see what Microsoft does as direct competition, and they also, I guess, they want to figure out the perfect price point. I don't think they would go beyond 550, because anything beyond that, like, you're getting closer to 600, seems ridiculous. Yeah. And their console sold a lot better than the Xbox did, because Xbox was $100 more when it first came out.
I like that I'm more excited to get a PS2 than I am for the reveal for the PS5.
And finally, this is the last thing I have, and then I'll let you do your piece, because I actually had that in mind, and then you reminded me. The most shocking in recent news was the Rockstar founder the Rockstar founder, Dan Houser, left the studio. He was one half.
What?
He was one half of the founders of Rockstar. He and his brother have been in the business, and he helped lead the company through Max Payne, GTA, and Red Dead.
Wow.
And he left the studio. Apparently, he came back from absentee leave, and he's leaving. But Take Two, which is their parent company, hasn't said anything.
I hate Take Two.
Hasn't said anything about it. So we'll see. And now for the final bit, Kingdom Hearts DLC released recently, and Jeremy here has played
multiple things to talk about actually.
Has played the game and apparently multiple stuff. So I wanted to get your review on the DLC. So the rest of the show is yours.
Hold on. So, my review of it was like, I'd say maybe, yes, I got a bonus $1 million in GTA. Sorry. Okay. So, my review of it is,
how professional.
so I give it a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10, because if you're looking for more gameplay than story, you'll be very disappointed, because this just adds on to a plot hole that happened at the end of the game. It's not adding anything new to the story. It branches onto what they will continue to do with Kingdom Hearts, but it doesn't it's not like, oh, crazy game breaking new gameplay and stuff. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, So yeah, no, and then so essentially you have the story, which is what it is, and you play as all the different characters. After you play through all the different characters and you get through the story, there's also at the end of the game you weren't able to explore the last area, like the final world. Now in the DLC you can explore that final world. It was pretty cool. There's some cool stuff they added that you get to do. There's 2 new Keyblades and 2 new Keyblade forms, which is based off of Oblivion and Oathkeeper. Then you also, when you beat the game, they added data battles, and the data battles, I tried them, are insanely hard. Right now I'm grinding to get the ultimate, the what do you call it, the Ultima Blade, just because personally those data battles are hard as heck. So it's not going well though. I hate the gummy ship battles, but yeah, overall I'd say like 7.5, 7 to 8 ish. It wasn't anything new or groundbreaking or crazy, but it definitely was pretty cool just to play through it through a different perspective. I'd say I enjoyed it. There are a lot of people who've been hating on the game, but I'm just thankful we even got a third one at this point. Trying to be optimistic about it instead of just being negative. In other Kingdom Hearts news, they're gonna release a new mobile game. So they're gonna release a new mobile game. It has something to do with Xehanort. That's all we really know, but it's gonna be coming out this year. Also, in a Q&A article I read about Kingdom Hearts, they were saying that. So they were saying that essentially they are done with Kingdom Hearts 3, and they're moving on to the next project in the series. So whatever that may be, I believe they stated, if I remember correctly, that they're not going straight to 4. They have a couple other projects they're doing 4, so they're probably going to 10 years. But we'll see. I just want a Kingdom Hearts game on the Switch personally. I would love like a remake of 385 on the Switch, but and then the other thing, also get introduced to a new person in the Kingdom Hearts, so I won't spoil it though. Pretty cool boss fight if you can beat it. There's multiple different endings. They make no sense and just lead to more plot holes because Kingdom Hearts is like that. So and things is that new Pokemon DLC got announced. They're doing 2 expansion packs. One is going to take place on a beach, and the other one's going to take place in a tundra. In the beach one, you're going to get a new Pokemon, either fighting water, fighting dark, depending on what version of the game you have. So what is the fighting water one? And I think it's a fighting dark is Shield, and they Dynamax to your exclusive. Like there's a cool Dynamax for each exclusive. On top of that, they're bringing back more Pokemon to the game. There's new Galar region Slowpoke that you can get if you go fight if you go to the subway and where you start the game, you can go to the subway and you can fight the rival that is for that next region or that part of the Galar region. You can get Slowpoke if you want, so go do that. You have two new rivals, like I just mentioned, one for each game. One's a fairy, one's a psychic, I believe. I could be totally wrong, so I apologize if I am. It's been a minute since this news came out and everybody's already covered it. Then you have the ice region, which has a new legendary. I personally think just looks like a derp and is a meme, and I love it. A lot of people hate it. It's going to be sick because you're going to be able to go caves, and every legendary is going to be added. Free game. It's going to be super sick. I genuinely cannot wait for the second DLC. The first one, I'm not as interested. The second one, I'm super, super hyped. And then the last thing on my little segment is that we got a surprise reveal in the Pokemon. Two things actually, but we got a surprise reveal for a new mystery dungeon, which I was personally jumping out of my seat, screaming hype for. I played the demo. Graphics look cool. It feels just like I played it when I was a kid. That is a game I'm definitely getting, and now I have to consider if I'm going to be looking for Final Fantasy and Mystery Dungeon the same month. But I'm going Mystery Dungeon first for sure. I'm very excited for that because I love how stupidly hard they are and how I'm going to have to spend most of my time playing that game. I'm really hyped. I got Mudkip from my personality test. I'm ready to go when it comes out. Super excited. And the last thing is I'm just gonna leave it with this. Sakurai, you're gay. If you putting another Fire Emblem character, I want my $20. I back.
You want what
But no,
back?
yeah. So
You cut out. You want what back?
I want my $20 back.
But no, yeah. So that's the podcast.
There were there was something else I was gonna add that you had said that mentioned. I wanted to mention, but I don't remember what it was.
Cards. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon.
No, it wasn't. It was something you had said specifically that had reminded me of something, and now I don't remember what it was.
Unlucky.
Oh, what was it? It was something to do with gaming that had come out. I don't remember what it was. Anyways, that is our podcast. We've kind of toned it down to about once a month, mainly because all of this news that you just heard in the past 40 or so minutes was from halfway through January up to February, and it's not a whole lot as we get closer to, E3. We'll be getting more rumors, I guess, and more news. I don't want to just put out a podcast every month because it's content. I want to put out a podcast every month because we have content to produce, if that makes sense, to inform people who don't watch the podcast. Just, general thoughts, general feelings, and whatnot. So hopefully, we'll have some more news come around March. That's when more rumors will be up for E3. I don't really have anything else. Star Wars comes out in this month sometime. I don't know what the season 7 trailer.
Oh yeah.
Or not trailer. The Star Wars season 7. Sorry.
We should do like a whole segment of the podcast for that.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe. We shall see. But yeah, it's a podcast. Thank you guys for watching. And we'll see you guys next time.
Peace.